Inner fender liners. You got to do it. But how the hell are you going to do it? Stick around, I'll show you. All right, so here's the challenge. Up inside the wheel well, you've got, a lot of complex shapes and areas that you've got to fill in, and you got to have some material that's going to be stiff and durable yet flexible enough to be able to fit in here. And I don't want to have to do it in 100 pieces. So what I've come up with is this HDPE plastic sheet. I got it at Speedway Motors, actually through Amazon. I actually bought two 10-foot rolls, and I'm going to end up needing most of it. It's a black plastic, about 1/8 of an inch thick, flexible, yet quite stiff and quite workable. You can cut this just with a regular jigsaw blade. First thing is, laid it out in the sun and let it get relaxed from the roll so it was nice and flat. What I'm going to do is make a template of what the shapes are in here and try to cut it out. All right, the easiest way I found to make a template was to make a bunch of smaller pieces of cardboard and kind of cut them out, tape them up in place, and fit them in there, and just kind of piece it together. And then you can mark it, take it out in pieces, or however you want to do it. But you can get it to fit nice and light, nice and tight. The edge does get a little bit fuzzy, like melty and stuff, so I'm just scraping it off with a knife. All right, so the material, I think it was like about 22 inches across. You can see it's just about the size that you need. Now, you're just going to lay this on here and trace it out and cut it. All right, full disclosure, I already did the first one, so I'll save you watching me having to cut that out. But the good thing for me in the back anyway was that both the sides are exactly identical. So what I cut out was this. And really you can just reverse the template. In this case, I'm just going to trace the piece that I've already cut and fit in there nice, and bend it the opposite way, and that should fit right in. So what I'm going to do though is I'm going to show you how this fits in here in one piece. Again, pretty straightforward. You can just bend it manually, but if you put a little bit of a torch on it to soften it, you can get it to stay permanently. I've had this sitting in the wheel well in the back for a few weeks now, so it's taken a pretty firm set. So that's not going to go anywhere. All right, hopefully that'll work. So again, here's the piece, and it's been cut to fit pretty tight because it's so flexible. To be able to stuff it right up in here. much like that. And what I'll do is there's a couple of spots where it's actually touching the structure. I'll just screw that in with a couple of bolts with washers on them. And just a couple just to hold it there in place. I'll bring you in closer to have a look. Hopefully you can see that on camera. Let me grab a light and show that again. All right, I got my headlight on here now. So you can see it fits nice and tight. And with one piece like that, there isn't any real nooks and crannies to catch stuff up in. It'll look pretty clean from the outside with the wheel in there. You know, again, at the top, it fits pretty tight. And once I screw this in, it should tighten up any of those gaps here. Again, this is just sitting in place with no screws whatsoever. So here in the front, I did it a little differently. I actually made this template out of one piece of cardboard. Actually, no, two, sorry, rather than a bunch of smaller ones. And it fits in there pretty nice. Now this is actually the template from the other side. Again, just reversed it and fit it in here. I'm going to have to modify it a little bit because over here there's a battery up inside, and that's going to block that off. So I didn't have that on the other side, so I have to modify this cardboard template a little bit. But I'll show you what the other side looks like because that is done. All right, so driver's side. I've got this clamped in right now. Again, this is inside the louver. It's going to provide opening behind this for engine heat to get out the louvers, which I've shown on a different video. I'm going to actually use the louver mounting tab there, and I've made a tab on the panel here that I will use those bolts to screw that in the back. And again, a couple of screws in some of the upper structure in there in order to hold it in place. If you're familiar with the Corvettes, you know, over the upper control arm, they have like a little soft rubber flap that allows the movement of the suspension. So I'm going to do that here, slit these a little bit more, maybe cut this a little bit more open, and put a flexible rubber flap to seal tighter around there, just like the Corvettes have, because this is, of course, a Corvette chassis. And then in the front here, this just kind of curves around, and it actually blocks the where the headlight is. It'll fit up in there, and it'll keep crap from getting in and getting the wiring in the back of the headlight. So that is pretty much what I'm going to do. I'm not going to do a piece at the top. So here, this is the actual fender surface. What I believe I'm going to do is spray some rubber undercoating just to protect that a little bit from any chips and things getting underneath the fiberglass. But in the back, you don't have that problem because that's the inner fender well. So, but that is, I think, the cheapest, most affordable way to get the inner fender liners done. So look into that HDP material. All right, thanks for watching.